The Kewaunee School District's strategic plan will determine where our school district is going over the next 3 to 5 years and how it's going to get there. Part 4 of this podcast, Introduction to the Kewaunee School District's strategic plan, follows up with one additional strategy and an action planning team you may wish to consider joining. We need to teach our students global communication, starting with kindergarten. The days are over when a high school graduate from Kewaunee High School could go to a paper mill or manufacturing company in northeast Wisconsin and make a comfortable living. The competition for jobs for our students is no longer Algoma or Luxembourg or even Wisconsin. Our students will be competing for jobs with students in Sri Lanka, Beijing, China, and Bangalore, India. The rise of digital information and communication technologies such as email, instant messaging, video conferencing, and the internet has virtually eliminated the workplace barriers of geography and time. It is now about as easy to work with people halfway around the world as it is with folks halfway across town. Information, money, ideas, and products now cross the globe at dizzying speeds, and work moves to the location of lowest cost or greatest expertise. This puts pressure on the Western wage premium because companies don't need to pay workers in more developed countries such high salaries when their counterparts in developing countries will do the exact same work for less. As a result of this technology-driven globalization of commerce, corporations are telling educators that different ability sets, so-called 21st century skills, are becoming important, since these skills enable workers and companies to stand out from others around the globe. These skills drive creativity and innovation and therefore justify higher wages and benefits. Economists have shown quite clearly that the only growth in the American economy is coming from creative class professions that involve critical thinking, complex communication, collaborative problem solving, and other more abstract skills such as media fluency, adaptability, global awareness, and synthesis of large-scale dispersed data. The fundamental dilemma is that our K-12 schools, which were created for an era when 3/4 of the American workers were involved in agricultural or manual labor jobs, are now expected to function in an environment in which about 3/4 of our workers are now in more cognitively complex service or creative professions. Corporations are reporting great difficulty in finding workers who possess the skills needed to do these jobs, which is why they're hiring people from other countries or moving jobs overseas. The rest of the world is catching up quickly. Creativity, innovation, and problem solving are American students' weakest areas on international assessments. If our workers are to be globally competitive, they will need schools to help them acquire a different set of skills than they have needed in the past. This means that our states and our school districts will have to provide secure yet open access to the web and to create curricula that emphasize student acquisition of 21st century skills rather than the regurgitation of discrete facts and low-level procedural knowledge. This will be an extremely difficult change. We all have ideas, primarily informed by our own school experiences, of what school should look like. We cannot hang on those models and expect our graduates to be successful in a vastly different economic climate. Both our curriculum and our teaching methodology will need to change drastically if we are to successfully produce students who are truly capable of learning, unlearning, and relearning. But wait, are we already doing a great job getting our students ready for the real world? Let's ask our local businesses what they think. When businesses were recently surveyed in northeast Wisconsin, they were asked this question: what skills are most important for job success when hiring a high school graduate? Again, employers right in this part of the state said work ethic, number one. 80% of them said that was important. Collaboration, 75% was important. That's the second most important skill. Good communication, 70% of them said that. Social responsibility, 63%, and critical thinking and problem solving, mentioned by 58% of the employers. Then those same employers were asked, of the high school students that you recently hired, what were their deficiencies? Here's what they said. 81% were deficient in their written communication skills, 73% deficient in leadership, 70% deficient in work ethic, 70% deficient in their critical thinking and problem solving, 58% deficient in their self-direction. The exact same skills that the employer said were most crucial to their businesses were the ones that they viewed as our graduates having the greatest deficiency. These aren't employers in other states. These are employers right here in Northeast Wisconsin. So how do we better prepare our students for a world far different from the one we all grew up in? By teaching them what is now being referred to as 21st century skills. But what are these 21st century skills? There are 6 key elements of 21st century learning. Core subjects. No Child Left Behind identifies these as English, reading or language arts, mathematics, science, foreign language, civics, government, economics, arts, history, and geography. Learning skills. These include 3 broad categories: information and communication skills, thinking and problem-solving skills, interpersonal and self-directional skills. 21st century tools. This element includes technical competency with digital tools at the high-level skills of critical thinking and intelligent, creative, and ethical use of technology. 21st century context. Learning environments that include real-world examples, applications, and experiences both inside and outside the school. 21st century content. All learning should include a focus on global awareness, financial, economic, and business literacy, and civic literacy. 21st century assessments. Assessments should measure students' performance on the elements of 21st century learning. Standardized tests alone can measure only a few of the important skills and knowledge students should learn. So that leads us to this conclusion. Every student in the Kewaunee School District must be a critical thinker, a problem solver, an innovator, an effective communicator, an effective collaborator, a self-directed learner, information and media literate, globally aware, civically engaged, and financially and economically literate. We are currently preparing students for jobs that don't yet exist, using technologies that haven't been invented in order to solve problems we don't even know are problems yet. The question every parent should be asking us is, how are you helping my child become literate in the 21st century? So how will our strategic plan in the Kewaunee School District address this? Through our global communication strategy. We will immerse all students in a literacy-rich environment that embraces a knowledge and respect for diversity, so they are exemplary communicators who can compete in the world of tomorrow. Our action planning team that deals with global communication will determine how our school district is going to accomplish this during the next 3 to 5 years. When done, we will have students who are literate in the 21st century skills, students who throughout their lives will be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn, students who will be proud to say they learned it in the Kewaunee School District. If you wish to join this global communication action planning team, please contact Bill Prijic at the phone number or email listed. This is your opportunity to have a strong say in the future of the Kewaunee School District. Become a part of the solution. Working together, we can get there. It won't be easy, but nothing worth doing usually is. I invite you to make a difference that really matters. If you're still not convinced, please watch the following 6-minute video. The video you're about to watch is one young student's view of what his education is and what it ought to be in the future.
Hey world, welcome to my universe. To succeed as a planet in the 21st century, a strong education for every human being isn't just important, it is essential. This is one of the basic truths of human existence. We all understand this, but it begs the question, what does it really mean to receive an education? For past generations, it made sense for education to be institutionally based. Schools and universities were the hubs of all human knowledge, so that's where one went to learn. Great minds congregated at universities, grew within universities, and changed the world with universities as a launching pad. Institutional education has been a massive force for good for hundreds of years, and in no way, shape, or form am I trying to deride what it has done for society. What I am here to say, however, is that we are in the midst of a very real revolution, and if institutional education refuses to adapt to the landscape of the information age, it will die, and it should die. Throughout all of human history, there's a particular trend that has remained constant. The value of information has consistently been going down. Now, on the surface, this may sound like a bad thing, but really, it's just a natural result of society moving forward. In the age of kingdoms, areas had one supreme ruler who was the only person with complete access to information. Needless to say, information was very, very valuable. As kingdoms failed, they were replaced by systems with very clearly defined class structures. There were typically three groups: the aristocracy, the working class, and the poor. The aristocracy had access to information, and nobody else did. Information was still quite valuable, but not as valuable as it had been before. As time went on, these clearly defined class structures morphed into less clearly defined class structures. There emerged a wealthy, educated class with complete access to information, a poor, uneducated class without access to information, and a massive gray area in the middle where people had limited access to information. This is the system that made institutional education possible. For the first time, it didn't matter who you were born to. If you could pay for it, information was yours to buy. By and large, this is the same system we use today. If one wants access to the information a university has and can pay for it, then they're going to get it, and if they can't pay for it, they're not. But here's the thing. Society is not done moving forward, and with the advent of the internet, the monetary value of information is fast approaching zero. This is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. And not only is it a good thing, it is the best thing to have ever happened to human beings. Because of the internet, information is now free. And by free, I don't just mean doesn't cost any money, I also mean that it has been liberated. Example, 15 years ago, if one was planning a road trip, they'd need to go to the store, purchase an atlas, and painstakingly chart their course. Today, you can just type it into Google Maps, or Bing Maps, or MapQuest, and you're done! There are literally millions of examples like this spanning every single aspect of society, and while we're still in the early stages, this is the revolution I'm talking about. And most societal entities are reinventing themselves to prepare for this revolution. The music industry has embraced iTunes. Governments have taken significant steps towards transparency. And successful businesses are looking less like Dilbert and more like Google. But what has education done to reinvent itself? In my experience, nothing. I mean, sure, you've started using email, online databases, services like Blackboard, and if this were 1999, I'd be saying, great! But it's not 1999, and if institutional education wants to survive in the information age, then institutional education needs to do more than just adopt a few new tools. Let me speak from my own experience. I was a student at the University of Nebraska, and most of my classes went something like this. On the first day, I'd show up, and there would be a lecture hall full of 40 to 200 kids kids and just one professor. Professors rarely made an effort to learn anyone's names and almost never encouraged any sort of interaction amongst the students. I'd be required to spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 per class on textbooks that I would never open. Not because I didn't care, but because better, easier to find information was available online. Classes would drag on for an hour, and all they would consist of was the professor in the front with a PowerPoint telling us facts. We'd frantically scribble down those facts. Test time would come around and we would memorize our scribblings. We'd take the test and we would receive a grade based on how many facts we memorized. But society no longer cares how many facts we can memorize, because in the information age, facts are free. Any educational institution based solely on providing students with facts is not preparing students for the real world. See, in the noble quest to provide education to the masses, we have lost sight of what education really is. Education isn't about teaching facts. It's about stoking creativity and new ideas. It's not about teaching students how to conform to the world as it is. It's about empowering students to change the world for the better. 2 weeks ago, I dropped out of school, not because I'm a deadbeat, not because I was failing, not because I'm not just as motivated as anyone else to make a difference in this world. I dropped out of school because my schooling was interfering with my education. It is clear to the world that something just isn't working with institutional education, and most people say that this means we need to change institutional education. But to the educators of the world, I am here today to say that I disagree. You don't need to change anything. You simply need to understand that the world is changing, and if you don't change with it, the world will decide that it doesn't need you anymore. Until next time, I am Dan Brown, and I'm out.
Everyone watching this podcast, Introduction to the Strategic Plan in the Kewaunee School District, will be greatly impacted by our strategic plan. This is your chance to have a strong say in your future, the future of every student who attends our schools now and for many years into the future. Your input and ideas will shape the future of education for children in Kewaunee for years to come. If you want to plan instead of being planned for, here is your opportunity. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this introduction to the school district strategic plan. I appreciate your interest. If you do want any more information about the plan, please feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. Thank you.